Friends, I want you to imagine, just for a moment, the feeling of having reached a summit you have long desired, a place where your labor, your faith, and your inner vision have conspired to bring you to a threshold of abundance. That first $100,000, often considered by many a distant dream, is not merely a number or a milestone in worldly terms. It is a signal, a proof that the law of divine supply has responded to your unwavering faith, your clear vision, and your steadfast declaration that you are worthy of prosperity. Too many wander through life in fear and limitation, hoping for financial blessing while secretly believing they are undeserving. Yet, the moment a person steps into the awareness of the infinite, the moment they see money not as the root of evil, but as a tool of good, something extraordinary occurs. That first substantial sum, that first $100,000, is like the key to a hidden door, the unlocking of a new dimension where possibilities expand, opportunities present themselves, and the universe begins to conspire in your favor. Understand this: wealth is not created by struggle or by toil alone, but by alignment with the invisible laws that govern success. You must first see it in your imagination, speak it in your declarations, and believe it with a faith that knows no shadow of doubt. The mental picture you hold, repeated with conviction, becomes the blueprint for manifestation. Your words, your thoughts, and your attitudes form the magnetic power that draws this prosperity to you. Many have wondered why, after laboring for years, the flow of abundance seems stagnant. The answer is simple. It is the inner block, the silent disbelief that whispers, "This is too much for me, this cannot happen, this is beyond my reach." But the breakthrough, the first $100,000, shatters that block. It reveals to you, in tangible terms, that the universe is your ally, that every inspired action, every right thought, every act of courage and clarity bears fruit. Once you experience this first manifestation, fear dissipates, hesitation vanishes, and you begin to operate from a place of confidence rather than scarcity. Let me assure you, friends, this is not about luck, nor is it about mere skill. It is about conscious partnership with the infinite intelligence that governs the invisible world. You have only to hold your vision, speak your word, and act in alignment with your higher self. The first $100,000 is not simply a financial breakthrough, it is a spiritual one. It tells you that you are in tune with the rhythm of abundance, that the universe recognizes your desire as a lawful vibration, and that your thought, rightly directed, can bring forth wonders that surpass your imagination. Every individual who has ever achieved great success, every person who has known abundance, first embraced the principle that thought is the seed from which all material conditions grow. The moment you understand that your mind is the soil in which your fortunes are planted, you begin to see that no external circumstance has the power to create or limit your prosperity, except as you give it power by your mental attitude. Thoughts, dear friends, are not idle or harmless. They are forces, dynamic and magnetic, shaping your world as surely as the sun shapes the day. Just as a gardener chooses carefully which seeds to plant, so must you choose carefully the ideas you allow to occupy your consciousness. If you plant fear, doubt, or limitation, you harvest struggle. If you plant faith, clarity, and vision, you harvest the evidence of abundance in every department of life. Many people labor tirelessly, yet their financial success seems stalled, their progress slow. They wonder why, despite effort and skill, the money they desire eludes them. The truth, as always, lies in the invisible. The law of thought is the most exact and unwavering law in the universe. It never fails, it never hesitates, and it never overlooks a single vibration of belief or disbelief. If your mind clings to the notion that wealth is for others but not for you, if it whispers that opportunity is scarce or that you are unworthy, then that very thought forms an invisible wall between you and the prosperity that is your birthright. You may work with diligence, but the results will always be limited by the quality of your inner picture. Consider the mind as a magnet. It attracts circumstances, people, and situations in exact proportion to the images you hold within it. If you carry a clear, definite, joyous picture of having achieved your first $100,000, if you see it in your imagination with vivid detail, if you feel the thrill of that accomplishment as though it has already occurred, then invisible forces align to make it manifest. This is not mysticism. It is the immutable law of cause and effect. The mind acts as a director of infinite resources. Every thought is a signal, a vibration, a command sent into the unseen realm, and the unseen world responds. It does not question whether you deserve it, nor does it discriminate between small or large ambitions. It merely obeys the clarity, intensity, and persistence of your thought. Many souls fail to recognize the enormous power they possess. They treat thought casually, as if it were inconsequential, while every fleeting doubt, every negative imagination, every careless word is a seed that bears fruit in the outer world. One may ask, how can a mere thought create money? How can an invisible image affect a tangible bank account? The answer lies in the invisible currents that shape reality. Money, opportunity, and success are drawn to the mind that is clear, expectant, and unwavering. The person who holds firmly to the image of having earned $100,000, who refuses to allow fear or impatience to cloud the mental picture, is already aligned with the stream of abundance. The physical manifestation is inevitable. It is only a matter of time and right action. It is important to remember that not all thoughts are equal. Random, scattered, or conflicting thoughts cannot create a strong magnetic influence. They diffuse energy rather than concentrate it. Only thoughts held with conviction, repeated faithfully, and imbued with feeling have the power to transform life circumstances. Feeling, you see, is the secret ingredient that turns a mental image into a living force. Joy, gratitude, and expectancy breathe life into your vision and charge it with irresistible power. A mental picture of financial success, combined with the feeling that it is already yours, begins to work as an unseen agent, arranging conditions, opening doors, and guiding you to the people and opportunities that will fulfill your desire. Visualization alone is not enough if the mind wavers. You must refuse to entertain doubts, refusing to listen to any inner voice that questions your worthiness or the possibility of abundance. Every time fear or limitation arises, immediately replace it with the bright, assured image of your prosperity. Picture yourself signing the contracts, receiving the payments, feeling the freedom, security, and joy that $100,000 brings. The law of your mind responds not to what is absent, but to what is vividly present in consciousness. What you hold steadily in your inner sight becomes the outer reality. Many have discovered this principle in practice. They have learned that thinking in terms of scarcity, of lack, of not enough, only prolongs the struggle. When they shift their focus, when they begin to affirm and visualize in terms of fullness, sufficiency, and wealth, miracles begin to occur. The world responds to the inner law as faithfully as a shadow follows the sun. Even the smallest, most disciplined attention to the thought of abundance begins to draw opportunities, resources, and unexpected assistance. It is not a matter of forcing results, but of aligning with a current already moving toward fulfillment. There is also a spiritual aspect to this law. When your thoughts are fixed on wealth as a tool for good, as a means to express generosity, to create security, and to fulfill your highest potential, the mind is in harmony with divine law. When greed, fear, or selfish desire dominate thought, resistance is created, and the magnetic power of thought cannot operate fully. The universe responds to the pure, confident, and positive picture held in the mind, and it rewards the faith that is free from doubt and selfish limitation. To cultivate the ability to attract wealth through thought, one must practice the art of conscious imagining. Begin each day by seeing the sum you desire is already present, already flowing into your life, already adding freedom and joy. Speak it silently or aloud with certainty, and act as if the invisible has already taken form. Repetition, clarity, and feeling are the keys. Every consistent mental picture plants a seed in the fertile soil of the subconscious, and it grows silently, irresistibly, into visible results. The first $100,000 is always preceded by a clear inner image, a steadfast belief, and an unwavering expectation that it will come, for thought is not passive. It is the engine of creation, and it moves with the speed, precision, and certainty of natural law. Faith is the invisible bridge between desire and its manifestation. It is the unshakable trust in the unseen, the assurance that what you have declared and envisioned in your mind and heart will take form in the material world. Without faith, even the clearest vision remains a dream, a mere whisper of possibility that fades with every doubt. Faith does not come from proof, nor does it depend on circumstances. It is the inner conviction that the infinite, the universal intelligence, is always responsive, always present, and always aligned with your highest good. To break the barriers that have kept you from achieving your first $100,000, you must first understand that faith is not a passive hope, but an active force, a living energy that shapes reality in accordance with your belief. Many labor under the mistaken impression that effort alone produces results. They work diligently, sacrifice freely, and persist with determination. Yet the breakthrough they long for never seems to arrive. The reason lies not in their work, but in the quality of their faith. Faith is the spiritual currency that precedes material wealth. It is the magnet that draws circumstances, people, and opportunities into alignment with your desire. The person who holds unwavering faith sees beyond the present limitation, perceives the invisible, and trusts the creative power of the universal law to arrange all things in perfect order. This faith is not blind. It is clear-sighted and exact. It does not doubt the possibility, it simply expects the manifestation. To cultivate this kind of faith, you must first learn to trust the intelligence that governs the unseen world. This intelligence is impartial, consistent, and infinitely abundant. It does not favor one person over another based on appearance, status, or past failures. Its only criterion is the thought, word, and feeling that you project. When you declare, visualize, and affirm your desire with conviction, the universal law responds with perfect precision. Barriers that once seemed insurmountable dissolve because they were never real. They existed only in the mind. Faith perceives truth, where doubt perceives limitation. It recognizes that every obstacle is temporary, every challenge a teacher, and every seeming delay an opportunity for the law to organize conditions for your highest good. Faith also has the remarkable power to transform fear. Fear is the great barrier to success, the invisible wall that keeps abundance at bay. When the mind is filled with doubt, worry, or anxiety, it broadcasts signals of scarcity into the invisible, and the law, being exact, responds in kind. Faith, however, is the antidote. It is the unwavering conviction that all needs are already supplied, that the infinite is actively working on your behalf, and that no circumstance can alter the ultimate outcome. With faith, fear loses its grip, hesitation disappears, and the soul steps boldly into the current of opportunity, knowing that the stream will carry it safely to the desired shore. The moment you embrace faith as a living principle, you begin to notice the subtle ways the universe aligns itself in your favor. Opportunities appear at precisely the right time, unexpected assistance arrives from unlikely sources, and solutions emerge effortlessly. This is not coincidence. It is the exact operation of the law, responding to your inner conviction. Each act of faith strengthens the invisible connection between your desire and its fulfillment. Each time you trust rather than worry, the law moves with greater speed and certainty. Faith, therefore, is not only the bridge, but also the engine of manifestation, carrying your vision across the chasm of uncertainty into the realm of reality. Faith also demands clarity. It is not enough to hope vaguely for wealth or success. The mind must be clear, the desire specific, and the expectation unwavering. Vague wishes attract vague results. Precise faith produces precise outcomes. You must know exactly what you desire, feel it as if it already exists, and hold that vision consistently, regardless of outward appearances. This is the art of faith, to see the invisible, to speak the word with assurance, and to act as though the manifestation is inevitable. By doing so, you create an unbroken chain of cause and effect that leads naturally to the realization of your first $100,000. It is also essential to recognize that faith is nurtured through affirmation and repetition. The mind is a fertile field, and the seeds you plant daily, through words, thoughts, and feelings, grow into the conditions you experience. Affirming your vision, speaking it confidently, and dwelling upon it with gratitude and expectation reinforces the belief that it is already done. Faith grows strongest in the heart that practices unwavering expectation, refuses to entertain doubt, and maintains a constant focus on the positive outcome. Each affirmation becomes a spiritual command, a directive to the unseen forces that work ceaselessly to bring your vision into form. Faith, when properly exercised, does more than open the door to material success, it transforms the entire consciousness. The person who walks in faith moves with confidence, joy, and clarity. Obstacles are no longer intimidating, they are invitations to deeper trust and greater alignment. Challenges are met with assurance, because the faith-filled mind knows that the law of the unseen world is in operation, arranging every condition for the highest good. The first $100,000 is often the result not of extraordinary effort or luck, but of consistent, unwavering faith that refuses to be shaken by appearances, circumstances, or the doubts of others. Faith also acts as a protective shield. It safeguards the mind against the corrosive effects of worry, fear, and skepticism. The person who cultivates deep faith is impervious to negative suggestions, external criticism, and temporary setbacks. The law recognizes only the inner conviction and moves to fulfill the thought that dominates consciousness. In this way, faith becomes both sword and shield, opening the path to abundance while protecting the mind from the distractions and discouragements that often derail those who depend solely on effort or external conditions. To live in faith is to live in partnership with the infinite. It is to recognize that every desire, when held with clarity and conviction, is already known and cared for by the universal intelligence. The first $100,000, then, is not merely a financial goal, it is a spiritual confirmation, proof that the law responds to those who trust, that barriers dissolve before unwavering belief, and that the power of faith is sufficient to move mountains, overcome obstacles, and turn vision into reality. Words are not mere expressions of thought. They are active forces, vibrations sent into the unseen world, shaping the circumstances of life with a precision that few comprehend. Every word spoken carries with it a creative power, either constructive or destructive. The very words you choose determine the quality of your life, the opportunities you attract, and the financial outcomes you experience. The first $100,000, that landmark of abundance, is often a direct result of the conscious and consistent use of words, spoken with faith and clarity. Words are the instruments through which the unseen becomes manifest, the bridge between desire and reality, the channel through which thought is given form. Many fail to recognize the immense influence of speech. They speak casually, vent frustration, or complain about lack, unaware that each utterance sends a vibration into the invisible, commanding the law of cause and effect to respond accordingly. Words are seeds, and the law responds faithfully to the seed you plant. If you speak of limitation, struggle, or failure, you unconsciously attract those very circumstances. If you declare abundance, success, and prosperity, you begin to magnetize the conditions necessary for their fulfillment. It is not simply optimism. It is the law of speech acting in harmony with thought and intention. Words shape not only your outer environment but also the inner attitudes that govern your actions, your relationships, and your opportunities. The person who understands this principle guards every word carefully. They do not repeat fears or doubts, for they know that every expression is a declaration of law. Instead, they speak of their desires as if they already exist, affirming wealth, opportunity, and success with clarity and confidence. The words "I am prosperous," "I am guided to abundance," or "I am receiving my first $100,000 now" are not empty statements. They are spiritual commands that set the law in motion. The unseen world recognizes only the vibration behind the words, not the external appearances, and it responds to the steady, faithful, and inspired declaration of the mind. It is important to note that words spoken in fear or desperation do not carry the same force as words spoken with conviction and expectation. Feeling is the secret ingredient that imbues words with life. A declaration spoken with joy, certainty, and gratitude vibrates with irresistible power. The law does not differentiate between large or small statements. It responds to clarity, intensity, and persistence. Therefore, the person who speaks consistently of abundance, speaks in terms of success, and refuses to entertain doubt, experiences a magnetism that draws circumstances, people, and opportunities into alignment with their spoken word. Many have observed that those who complain of lack, who dwell on what they do not have, and who speak endlessly of obstacles, remain in limitation. The words themselves become the cause, for the law of the unseen world obeys every word, whether it is spoken consciously or unconsciously. To break through to the first $100,000, one must take responsibility for the words they use daily. Every phrase, every casual comment, every self-reproach becomes a directive to the law. If you do not wish to attract limitation, then you must cease to speak of it. Instead, speak only of abundance, opportunity, fulfillment, and success. Affirmation is the tool through which words are consciously directed. By repeating precise, positive statements aligned with your desire, you impress the subconscious mind, which in turn organizes circumstances to match the spoken word. Repetition is crucial because the subconscious mind responds not to one fleeting statement, but to the persistent, consistent vibration impressed upon it. Each morning and evening, the words you speak or think concerning your financial goals send invisible currents into the unseen, arranging every condition necessary for the manifestation of your first $100,000. Words are not simply expressions, they are instruments of creation, shaping the field of possibility and commanding the law of supply to move in your favor. Silence also plays a role. To speak wisely is to speak deliberately, choosing words that reinforce your desired reality. Avoid idle chatter that contradicts your vision. Avoid repeating fears or doubts, even in the form of questioning. Questions and statements that imply scarcity, struggle, or delay broadcast confusion to the law, diluting the magnetic power of your declaration. The conscious use of words, therefore, requires discipline, awareness, and faith. It is the act of declaring truth as you wish it to appear, of insisting that your words align with the reality you intend to create. Words not only shape external circumstances but also refine character and perception. The person who speaks positively becomes positive in thought, vision, and action. The words mold the inner mind, which in turn directs the hands, feet, and intelligence to act in harmony with the spoken declaration. Financial success is rarely a matter of chance. It is the outcome of words and thoughts that have impressed the subconscious, set the law in motion, and guided the individual to act with wisdom, courage, and discernment. To attain the first $100,000, one must recognize that words are not only a reflection of thought, but a tool for shaping destiny. Another crucial aspect of using words consciously is gratitude. When declarations are spoken with genuine gratitude for present and future blessings, they carry a vibratory tone that amplifies their effect. Gratitude acknowledges the unseen supply, affirms the law's responsiveness, and strengthens faith in the inevitable manifestation of desire. The law responds not only to requests, but also to acknowledgement. By speaking words of gratitude, you enhance the magnetic power of your declarations, accelerating the arrival of the first $100,000 and preparing the consciousness to receive it joyfully and without resistance. The alignment of thought, word, and feeling produces an irresistible force. Words spoken in alignment with a clear vision and faithful expectation become a call to the universe, a signal that the desired outcome is already accomplished in the invisible. The law of abundance obeys this signal, bringing forth circumstances, opportunities, and resources in perfect timing. The person who consistently speaks words of affirmation, hope, and expectancy experiences a life in which barriers dissolve, doors open, and the first $100,000 appears as a natural unfolding of law and order. Even when circumstances seem contrary, the careful use of words maintains the integrity of the inner picture. External appearances are never the ultimate truth. The spoken word, backed by faith and feeling, is the active creative principle. To speak as though your first $100,000 is already present is to command the law to produce it, to impress the subconscious, and to align every invisible agency with your desire. Words, when used consciously, Transform limitation into opportunity, hesitation into courage, and vision into manifestation, demonstrating that reality itself bends before the consistent, deliberate, and inspired use of speech. Action is the visible expression of thought, the movement of the mind into form. While thought and faith lay the foundation of all success, it is action that bridges the invisible world and the tangible results. Yet not all action produces the desired outcome. Many toil endlessly, move tirelessly, and labor with diligence, yet find that their efforts yield little fruit. The reason is simple. Action that is not in harmony with the law of the unseen world is often misdirected, ineffective, or wasted. The breakthrough of the first $100,000 comes not from random activity, nor from frantic struggle, but from inspired action, the kind of action that aligns perfectly with vision, faith, and divine intelligence. The person who understands the law of action recognizes that every step taken in alignment with thought and word is magnified by invisible forces. The universe conspires with the individual who acts in harmony, arranging circumstances, opening doors, and connecting them with the right people, the right timing, and the right opportunities. This is not the result of chance or luck, but of a precise response to the rhythm of the mind, in cooperation with the universal law. When the mind conceives clearly, the words declare faithfully, and the heart believes without doubt, action becomes the instrument through which the invisible is translated into visible reality. Many fail because they act impulsively, out of fear, pressure, or the desire for immediate results. Such action lacks guidance and alignment. It may produce temporary outcomes but cannot create lasting abundance. Inspired action, on the other hand, is calm, deliberate, and informed by intuition. It does not strain or struggle against circumstances but moves with the current of opportunity, following the inner guidance that reveals the path most conducive to success. Each inspired step is a signal to the unseen, a vibration that commands the law to provide resources, connections, and solutions that support the manifestation of the desired $100,000. To cultivate action in harmony, one must first establish clarity of vision. Without a clear picture of the desired outcome, action becomes random and uncoordinated. The person who visualizes their first $100,000 with precision, who imagines not only the amount but also the circumstances, timing, and feelings associated with it, has already set the stage for action that is aligned with law. Every decision, every effort, and every step taken will be directed toward the fulfillment of that vision. Clarity of purpose ensures that each movement is purposeful, effective, and magnetic, drawing opportunities rather than creating obstacles. Action must also be fearless. Fear produces hesitation, delay, and missteps, which interfere with the flow of manifestation. The person who acts from courage and conviction, confident in the guidance of the unseen, experiences a natural alignment between effort and outcome. Fear dissolves when the mind rests in the certainty of the law's responsiveness. The first $100,000 often arrives not to those who work hardest, but to those who act with the assurance that the law is already organizing all circumstances in their favor. The courage to act decisively, even when the path is not fully visible, signals to the universe that you are ready to receive and capable of handling abundance. Timing is another critical aspect of action in harmony. The universe operates according to perfect timing, and action must be in alignment with that rhythm. Impatient or hasty movement can disrupt the flow, while patient, inspired action produces effortless results. Often, the law will prepare circumstances, remove obstacles, and present opportunities, but the individual must be ready to act when the moment arises. Awareness, attentiveness, and responsiveness are therefore essential. The person who observes the signs, listens to intuition, and moves with confidence when opportunity appears experiences a flow in which the first $100,000 seems to arrive naturally, as though the universe itself has orchestrated the events. Consistency is equally vital. Sporadic effort, even when inspired, cannot produce the sustained energy necessary for substantial results. Action in harmony requires persistence, not in a sense of struggle, but in faithful continuation of guided efforts, day after day, step after step. Each action reinforces the mental and spiritual alignment established by thought, word, and faith. Repeated, faithful steps create momentum, and momentum attracts opportunities, resources, and assistance that accelerate the manifestation of desire. The first $100,000 is the fruit of persistent, aligned action, supported by the law of the unseen world. Action must also be guided by discernment. Not every opportunity, path, or suggestion aligns with your vision or your highest good. The person who acts in harmony discerns which actions are inspired and which are merely reactive. Discernment ensures that energy is focused where it will produce the greatest effect. The law magnifies precise action and every step taken, in alignment with vision, faith, and divine guidance, produces compounded results. Misaligned action dissipates energy and delays manifestation. To experience the first $100,000, one must act not from pressure, obligation, or imitation, but from clear inner guidance that is confirmed by a calm, intuitive certainty. Action is also enhanced by joy and expectation. When movement is motivated by hope, enthusiasm, and confidence, it generates a magnetic energy that attracts cooperation, resources, and solutions. The person who approaches tasks with a joyful attitude, seeing each step as a contribution to their vision, finds that circumstances bend in their favor. Resistance diminishes, problems resolve more easily, and synchronicities appear to guide them forward. Inspired action, conducted in a state of expectancy, becomes effortless, and the law of attraction responds with abundance that seems almost miraculous in its timing and completeness. Generosity and service also amplify the power of action in harmony. When your efforts are directed not solely toward personal gain, but toward the good of others, your actions are elevated to a higher vibration. The law responds to these actions with multiplied returns, for abundance flows where it can be used wisely and for constructive purposes. The person who contributes value, supports others, and acts with integrity finds that doors open in unexpected ways. Resources arrive from unseen sources, and the path to the first $100,000 becomes clear, supported by universal intelligence. Finally, action in harmony requires surrender. While you must act decisively and consistently, you must also release attachment to results, trusting that the law will orchestrate circumstances in the best possible way. Striving, forcing, or clinging interferes with the flow of law. Faithful, aligned action, coupled with trust, allows the unseen forces to complete what your effort alone cannot. The first $100,000 is rarely the product of isolated human exertion. It is the manifestation of coordinated effort and divine orchestration, the visible evidence of invisible law working through inspired human action. The first breakthrough is unlike any other experience in life. It is a pivotal moment, a visible confirmation that the laws governing abundance, success, and prosperity are exact, faithful, and responsive. Many aspire to wealth. Many dream of achieving a financial milestone such as the first $100,000, yet few understand the transformative power that comes from this initial manifestation. This breakthrough does more than provide funds. It changes consciousness, shifts perspective, and opens the door to a continuous flow of opportunity and expansion. The first $100,000 is a signal, a divine acknowledgement that your thoughts, words, faith, and inspired actions have aligned with the invisible law, producing tangible results. Once this occurs, the possibilities multiply, for the law responds with even greater precision to the mind that now knows it can create and attract with certainty. Before the first significant financial milestone, the mind is often burdened with limitations, doubts, and fears. Even with clarity of vision, inspired action, and faith, there exists a subtle hesitation, the lingering uncertainty about whether the universe will truly respond. The first breakthrough dissolves this hesitation. It is proof that the law is impartial, that abundance is not reserved for a few, and that your own alignment with law is sufficient to generate material results. The consciousness that once wavered in fear now operates from assurance. With this newfound certainty, thoughts become bolder, words become more confident, and actions more decisive. The first breakthrough is not simply a reward for past effort. It is a catalyst that elevates the mind to a higher level of creative power. This breakthrough also multiplies because it rewires expectation. Once you have achieved tangible success, your mental framework shifts. Previously, limitations seemed real and opportunities rare. After the first $100,000, the mind recognizes that abundance is accessible, that prosperity flows naturally, and that success is not an anomaly but a repeatable law. This shift in expectation is powerful, because the law responds not only to desire, but to conviction. The individual who has seen the law in action knows, without doubt, that the conditions necessary for expansion will continue to present themselves. The first breakthrough acts as a magnet, attracting circumstances, people, and ideas that support even greater achievements. Another way the first breakthrough multiplies is through confidence. Confidence is the natural outcome of success, and it has a magnetic effect. The person who experiences the first $100,000 approaches decisions with assurance, acts with authority, and speaks with conviction. This confidence is communicated to others, inspiring trust, cooperation, and support. Doors open that were previously closed, opportunities arrive that were previously unseen, and resources flow more freely. Confidence multiplies results because it aligns the outer environment with the inner certainty that wealth and success are natural outcomes of alignment with law. The first breakthrough also teaches the law of flow. Before the initial manifestation, many struggle with scarcity thinking, attempting to control outcomes through force, struggle, or manipulation. The arrival of the first $100,000 reveals that the law works best when the mind is in harmony with its principles, when desire, faith, words, and action are coordinated and free from tension. Once the first breakthrough occurs, you begin to understand the effortless nature of law, and your subsequent efforts are guided by inspiration rather than strain. This understanding allows every action to be more productive, every decision more accurate, and every thought more aligned with the continuous generation of prosperity. Gratitude is another multiplier of the first breakthrough. When the mind receives a tangible reward, it is the acknowledgement and appreciation of this manifestation that magnifies its effect. Gratitude sends a clear signal to the unseen, confirming that the law is active and responsive. The individual who celebrates the first $100,000 with a heart full of appreciation impresses the subconscious mind and the law itself with the vibration of abundance. This vibration attracts additional blessings, greater opportunities, and further manifestations. The first breakthrough, coupled with gratitude, initiates a spiral of continuous expansion, where success begets success and abundance begets more abundance. The first breakthrough also multiplies because it validates faith. Faith alone can manifest results, but the tangible evidence of success reinforces the power of belief. The person who has seen their mental picture become reality no longer doubts the law or their ability to cooperate with it. This validation strengthens every future intention, every affirmation, and every act of inspired action. The law always responds to the certainty and clarity of belief, and once the first breakthrough is achieved, the mind operates from a new level of authority and alignment, attracting increasingly greater results. It is also important to note that breakthroughs inspire creativity. The first $100,000 is often accompanied by fresh ideas, new perspectives, and innovative solutions. Success breeds confidence and insight, which in turn enable the individual to see opportunities that were previously invisible. The law of multiplication operates not only in the accumulation of wealth, but in the expansion of intelligence, wisdom, and resourcefulness. Each new idea, inspired action, and strategic step is magnified by the law, accelerating the journey toward even greater accomplishments. The first breakthrough teaches the principle of cooperation with universal intelligence. It shows that alignment with the law produces effortless results, that the law is always active, and that success is the natural outcome of harmonious thought, word, faith, and action. With this understanding, every subsequent effort is more precise, more confident, and more productive. The multiplication of results is therefore both external and internal. The outer circumstances expand, and the inner consciousness grows in wisdom, discernment, and clarity. Finally, the first breakthrough multiplies because it eliminates fear and hesitation. Fear limits action, clouds judgment, and blocks the flow of abundance. When the first $100,000 manifests, fear is replaced by faith, doubt by assurance, and hesitation by decisive action. The mind now operates with confidence in the law, expecting prosperity and acting in alignment with that expectation. This shift produces a compounding effect. Each success reinforces belief, each action aligns more perfectly with the law, and each opportunity is met with readiness and clarity. Multiplication occurs naturally, as the first breakthrough transforms both the inner consciousness and the outer circumstances, creating a momentum that continues to expand without resistance.